It's a short, memorable phrase that's identified with a product or service. Its goal is to have a lasting effect, make you think about it. Taglines help convey what a business is trying to accomplish for its customers. So, real quick in the chat, who can tell me the tagline for Nike? Exactly. Just do it, right? So that's a great tagline. So we have Apple in front of us, Think Different, which was historically theirs. And there's a long history. And I don't know if it's in this video or the next one, or in this presentation or the next one, that we go into details on Apple. But all right. So how do you create an effective one? Keep it short, keep it simple, be consistent, meaning use it a lot so that people remember it. If you use it only once in a while, people don't remember. Focus on what makes you different. Make it timeless and memorable. Ensure that it can stand alone. Make it impactful. Consider your target market, and then get some input from people. So I'll tell you a funny story about during COVID. My husband, he lost his job right before COVID, and so we had an opportunity. Well, he lost his job. I was working, and it was his first time really at home, because for all the years we've been married and with our kids, he worked in the city, commuted an hour and a half each way. He didn't get home till like 8 o'clock at night. I always cooked. We always ate dinner together with our kids, but you know, that was his role. And then all of a sudden he lost his job, and I was going out to work and he was home alone. And my youngest daughter was still in high school. So he would take her to work, but she was a teenager, and I'm sure you guys don't like to massively hang out with your parents when you get home from school. So he would cook dinner. He did not have a big repertoire of food. Oh, wait, hold on. Speaking of food, hold on. Sorry, I put some soup on to make myself feel better. And it was boiling over. So he did not have a big repertoire of food, but he would be in the kitchen cooking. He had worked his whole life and he was used to talking to people all the time. So the net is he sort of videotaping himself while he was cooking, and he wasn't good at it. And he made these videos, and he would like pick the phone up and like put it over the food so you could see it. Oh, hold on one second again. My dog has my sneaker. Sorry, guys. Oy. I can't chase you right now. Oh my goodness. My dog is dying for attention. I apologize, guys. Come here. Come here. Thank you. Good girl. Oh my gosh. I hope she doesn't eat my sneaker. It's brand new. Anyway, so Craig, hang on, sorry. All right, you'll all be happy to know I got my sneaker back. All right, so anyway, Craig made the videos, sent them off to our family, and everyone thought they were hysterical. My nieces shared them with their friends, and he ended up making an Instagram. Later that summer, we ended up doing a food concession thing. It was during COVID. So we created a logo and we created a persona for our business, and it was called Craig's Reggae Kitchen, because he likes to listen to reggae music. And when we were creating the logo, we were going back through all the videos he had posted, and someone had brought to our attention, because they watched them all in a row, that when he started every video, he said the words "and we're back." every video. So that ended up becoming our tagline, which was very fitting for the time because it was during COVID and we were running a food concession and things had been closed. So maybe in a little while I'll share the logo with you, but it was kind of funny that we ended up getting a tagline from that whole thing. All right. So on your taglines, the most effective ones have 7 principles, 7 features. They're appealing, they're valid, they're unique, witty, they're simple, memorable, and engaging. So you don't want anything complicated because someone's got to be able to remember it. It can be witty, very simple. The wow principle is what value you create or an outstanding feature or why people should choose you. So why should they choose you? So And We're Back doesn't really do much of that, except, you know, it created the fact that we were a value because we were back in the middle of COVID. So I could look at it that way. It was just funny because of the videos. Let's look at some samples. So hold on. See if I can move view. Oops, didn't mean that. Okay. All right. We have Apple, Think Difference. Nike, Just Do It. America Runs on Dunkin'. I'm Loving It. Have It Your Way at Burger King. Interestingly, L'Oreal, Because You're Worth It. That's a good one. Walmart, Save Money, Live Better. It's Finger Licking Good. So the longer ones, MasterCard and FedEx. You know, FedEx had their, when it's absolutely positively has to be there overnight because they were the most dependable service. MasterCard had a brilliant advertising campaign that started years ago and went on for quite a long time. And if you've ever seen MasterCard commercials, the whole thought process was, you know, they would put an object up and put a price on it, an object up and a price on it, and then show like someone hugging their kid. And then say there's some things that money can't buy, for everything else there's MasterCard. Very good taglines. Some other business slogans and taglines. I kind of like the Dollar Shave Time, shave money. MasterCard, M&Ms melt in your mouth, not in your hands. Somebody commented when I did this presentation before that M&Ms certainly do melt in your hands. A diamond is forever. That's a De Beers Diamond Company. Meow Mix, if you've ever seen an old Meow Mix commercial, it tastes so good. Cats ask for it by name, and it has a bunch of cats singing meow, meow, meow, meow. Verizon, Can You Hear Me Now? What other? Pitney Bowes. You guys probably wouldn't know Pitney Bowes. All right. So we are going to look at a quick video, The Power of Advertising Slogans.
Think small, think big, think different. No, these aren't contradicting pieces of advice. They're the taglines for Volkswagen, IMAX, and Apple. Chances are, at least one of those companies popped into your head when you heard that sentence. That's the power of a good tagline. With just a few words, they can instantly call to mind a specific company. Great taglines, they'll make a brand a household name. So what's behind a great tagline? Taglines have been a part of branding for centuries. And the fact that they're still used hundreds of years later shows how powerful they can be. Open happiness. Can't deny it. It's catchy. Slogans succeed when they're memorable. Coca-Cola says a lot with only 2 words and 5 syllables. Second, they include a key benefit. Instead of talking about a product, they talk about the way the product makes people feel. Open happiness doesn't talk about the way Coke tastes, looks, or smells, but it does leave an impression. Third, they differentiate the brand. A great tagline sets a flag in the ground by making a claim about the brand. Is your brand universal, timeless, down to earth, joyful? Whatever it is, great taglines say something unique. Finally, they impart positive feelings about the brand. Because they're so closely associated with their parent brand, the best taglines use positive, upbeat language to ensure people come away with those same feelings. Associating happiness with your beverage? Smart move, Coca-Cola. So be all you can be. Get more. Just do it. And use these tips to become the ultimate branding machine.
That video does kind of a good job of helping you realize exactly how many taglines you probably know, because you may not think about it, but there's a lot that you actually come across on a daily basis.
Think small.
Sorry. All right. So going back to our target audience, we talked about target audience last week, but it's the specific group of customers that most likely want your product or service. So when you're looking at Simply Smoothies, who are the people that are most likely to buy your smoothies? What are the characteristics that we're going to use to define them? What's the age group? Where are they located? What might their interests or values be? Professionally, do they have, professional jobs? Do they have more skilled labor jobs? What's the marital status of the general person? Like if you had your perfect customer, what would they be? And how do you identify who they are? Look at who your current customers are. Look at your competition and who goes to their store or buys their product. Analyze your own product or service and then create these things. Once you get deeper into marketing, we create something called a buyer persona, which is basically like an ID card for who your perfect customer would be. So when we're looking at defining that target audience, there's generally a 3-step process. So one is doing a little research. So looking at whatever intelligence you have. So if you were developing a new product and you want to know all about the people who might be interested in it. So you're going to do an online search. You've got a lot of tools that are available to you to decide who it is that would most likely buy your product. If you pursue business in college, and we'll talk a little about entrepreneurship in our last week or two, but when you're developing a product, it's very important to know who you're developing a product for. And we'll dig deeper into that once we hit entrepreneurship. The next thing you need to do is analyze the market. What are your competitors doing? So what are they doing? So if it's a pizza joint and they're offering, Tuesday, they have $10 pizzas with a 2-liter thing of soda. So, okay, they do that on Tuesdays. Let's see, will my business be down because they do that on Tuesdays? What can I do to drive business in my place? Do I compete directly with them on Tuesday and make a better deal at my place? Or do I say, you know what, I'm going to let them have Tuesdays and then I'm going to make Thursday my night or Wednesday? So those are different kinds of things that you want to look at. You want to look at what your competitors are doing. It's very important. And then you're going to really try to define your audience, making sure that your product solves a problem that they have. And this is where entrepreneurship comes in, because we'll talk a lot about making sure that you're problem solving when you're an entrepreneur, because that is the really best way to be successful when you're looking at that. All right. That's all I have on this. So, yay. All right. So the tagline thing is the second step in this process. So when you're doing your logo, you can go ahead if you want. You're going to copy the logo into the second document. You may even want to just copy the document you have, because I kind of screwed up what I did with it. And create your tagline. So now that you have a logo or some semblance of a one, what is your Simply Smoothies tagline going to be? So if you think of a smoothie, what do you think of? What do you think would be appealing to somebody when you're looking at a tagline? Um, so yeah, it's funny because to me, the brand name could be kind of tagline-ish too, but yeah, so just kind of come up with different ideas that you might want to put in there. So when we look at that is part two, which is actually a little bit below everything else. But that's part two of the assignment, is creating the tagline. So now you have a logo for Smoothie King and you have a tagline for Smoothie King by the time you finish this. What if you mix marketing with taglines? Us to make it. So I have a question on that. Would that be all the time? It's because that's more of a promotion. We talked a little bit about promotion. And in the next step of this process, you have the option, the place to make a promotion. So I would not make it my tagline. I would wait until the next part of this, and maybe I'll walk through the next part of it now so you guys can see it. Yeah, I just, it concerns me as a business model, that it's perpetually buy one, get one free. What if I only want one? So what if I'm by myself? Why would I want to get two smoothies when one of them is just going to go to waste? Do I then get to pay half price for the first one? Because I don't want to pay full price if I only need one. All right. So, all right, I'm going to walk through the next bit of this while you guys keep working on that. So try to toggle back and forth between looking at what we're doing and looking at what you're doing. So the third part of this creation is we're creating a logo. We're then adding a tagline to it. So we have step one, step two, and step three is to create a flyer. So a flyer is like a promotion. So the idea behind the promotion is going to be to drive traffic and get people to buy your product. So I'm going to walk through the slides a little bit. And I'm just trying to see if this is where my Apple thing was. Where I just was watching the Apple video. Hold on. Sorry. Whip you through all my. Oh, not that one. I just don't know where it went. Okay. All right. So we are going to walk through the designing marketing materials part of this. So this talks about different materials. We're going to first look at doing a flyer, which is a single page document. You could use it as a poster. You could use it as a flyer that you give out to people. But this is some way of promoting something about your business and driving traffic to buy things. So we're going to look at the elements of that flyer. So all in all, marketing materials are any products or content that are designed to market a company or its products and services to potential customers. So if you look at the picture there, everything there looks recognizably that it's by the same company. Some of the products have the logo in black and white. Some of them have the green on it. The reason for that is it's cheaper to print in black and white, but the basic look of everything is the same. And you can easily recognize that that's all the same product. Last week or 2 weeks ago, actually, we talked about franchises. And one of the thing about a franchise is these materials, you have to buy all those materials from the franchisor or like, whoever it is, to make sure that everything that you present to the audience matches what the corporate vision is. So all of those different things become marketing materials. The bag you have, the little thing that goes around your coffee cup, the cup itself. And the reason they're marketing materials is because when I go out on the street and you look at my cup and you see Grub Coffee and Kitchen, you're like, oh, wow, I forgot that place was there. Let me go get it. All marketing. So your basic stuff is your logo, your website and whatever the domain name is, your email address. So your email address should be indicative of what your company is, whatever your social media channels are, and then business cards. Believe it or not, people still use business cards. Also very important. Then you move on and you're doing like corporate branding. So corporate branding is for big companies. And it doesn't have to be big. It can be big or little, but it makes you look like together. It's a whole package. So anytime I write a letter to somebody, it has my brand on it. So I have special stationery that has my brand on it. If I make a brochure, it's got my branding on it. It's in my colors. It uses my fonts. Any signs that I put up, all the same. My uniform also displays a logo on it, and it displays whatever branding I want on it. The colors are in the same color palette that I've chosen. Any packaging that I put out, if I put any of my goods in a package, it should all match. Everything should look the same. Different things online. So if there's a blog or a newsletter, it is instantly recognizable that it's coming from me. My social media posts are they all go along with the idea of whatever my brand is. Any videos, everything has very, very consistent branding. Sorry, I lost the word there. Other things that are considered marketing materials, press releases. So we haven't talked yet about public relations, but public relations is a very important part of advertising. And that involves press releases, which basically tell a story so that news media picks up a story about your product. And then they'll say, it goes out on the radio or on television for free. So I'll give an example of that. Krispy Kreme has like a donut day. I don't remember what day it is, but like they'll put out a press release to news media saying, we have 5-cent donut day happening on Thursday, April 3rd. And, customers can get 5-cent donuts between the hours of 12 and 3 p.m. at any Krispy Kreme store. So I might put that in a press release, and if it's a news day, they might pick it up and put it out there, and that's kind of free advertising. Any other stuff, banners that you put out, any print advertising, All the billboards and posters that you see in the subway, all of that stuff is all paid for. It's all marketing. It's everywhere you look. So let's talk about what this flyer is. A flyer is a form of a paper advertisement, and it's intended to be distributed widely and typically posted or distributed in a public space, handed out to individuals, or sent through the mail. So very often in school, like we have teachers all have mailboxes. I'll get a flyer in my mailbox about a special event going on. People put flyers up on the wall to recruit for different clubs and teams. When you're riding on the subway, the things that are like above the edges that run long ways, those are all basically versions of flyers, but different versions. They're distributed in a public space, and it's for a lot of people to read. Usually, you'll see they're either informational or there should be a call to action in them. So we're going to talk about what a call to action is. These are different things flyers are used for. They could be used to promote an event. There's a band I like that's playing in Bay Ridge tomorrow, so they promote their event with a flyer. They could be used to get people to act and do something. So maybe there's a flyer about adopting dogs and getting people to put in an application to adopt. Maybe they're there just to tell a story. So if you just want to tell a story about a document, what your brand is or why you're raising money for something, you might do a flyer. Another thing is to create awareness. So if you're like a lot of those pet adoption places also do that to create awareness of issues that are going on. A brochure is also a promotional document. It's a little bit bigger because it's both sides. Most of them are tri-folded, and they inform buyers about the benefits of whatever products you have. Here are some samples of brochures. These are tri-fold ones. So you'll very often see them, if they're talking about a food place or if you're looking at a travel destination, you might see it on either of those. So when you're looking at what kind of design you want to use, the key things we're looking at when we look at this flyer are color, typography, and imagery. So color, as we discussed before, it evokes emotions. It creates a sense of brand identity, guides the user's eye through the design. So whatever colors you're using in your logo, you want to make sure in your marketing materials you're consistent. So you want to make sure you're using complementary colors and or the same colors so that you are creating something where if I pick up that piece of marketing material, I could very quickly deduce that it came from your company. Typography, there's a lot on typography. I just did a whole thing on typography too. So it's the art and technique of arranging type to make language legible, readable, and appealing. So different fonts do tell people different things. So if you're using like a script font, it might come off as fancier than if you're using a block font. There are fonts that look like army fonts. There are fonts that look like varsity team fonts. There are fonts that look like handwriting. So the art of taking those different fonts and kind of using them to portray your brand, it takes a lot of work and a lot of thought. And you can mix different fonts, but you want to be consistent in what you use. So you don't want to use like 10 different fonts. You want to try to make something that's your brand. And everything that we put out goes out in this font. So it also makes it easier for the people producing materials for you. Imagery is whatever pictures you decide to use. If you use whatever it is, it kind of gets people interested, but at the same time, you want it to convey a message and create some kind of an atmosphere or a mood with whatever pictures you're using. All right, so these are some elements of graphic design. There's a lot here. We are going to actually watch a video that talks about these different things. But I think we watch the video first. So let's go through and do that.
The fundamentals of design are the basis of every visual medium, from fine art to modern web design. Even small details, like the fonts that make up most compositions. What do these examples have in common? Some very basic elements, including line, shape, form, texture, and balance. They might not seem like much on their own, but together, they're part of almost everything we see and create. The fundamentals can be intimidating, especially if you don't consider yourself an artist. However, there's a lot they can teach you about working with different assets and creating simple visuals from scratch. Let's start at the beginning with one of the most basic elements of all, the line. A line is a shape that connects two or more points. It can be fat or thin, wavy or jagged. Every possibility gives the line a slightly different feel. Lines appear frequently in design, for example, in drawings and illustrations, and graphic elements like textures and patterns. They're also common in text compositions, where they can add emphasis, divide or organize content, or even guide the viewer's eye. When working with lines, pay attention to things like weight, color, texture, and style. These subtle qualities can have a big impact on the way your design is perceived. Look for places where lines are hiding in plain sight, for example, in text. Even here, experimenting with different line qualities can give you very different results. A shape is any two-dimensional area with a recognizable boundary. This includes circles, squares, triangles, and so on. Shapes fall into two distinct categories: geometric, or regular, and organic, where the shapes are more free-form. Shapes are a vital part of communicating ideas visually. They give images heft and make them recognizable. We understand street signs, symbols, and even abstract art largely because of shapes. Shapes have a surprising number of uses in everyday design. They can help you organize or separate content, create simple illustrations, or just add interest to your work. Shapes are important because they're the foundation of so many things. Learn to look for them in other designs, and soon you'll start seeing them everywhere. When a shape becomes 3D, we call it a form. Forms can be three-dimensional and exist in the real world, or they can be implied, using techniques like light, shadow, and perspective to create the illusion of depth. In two-dimensional design, form makes realism possible. Without it, a bouncing rubber ball is just a circle. A 3D building is just a series of rectangles. Even flat designs use subtle techniques to hint at form and depth. In everyday compositions, the purpose of form is the same, but on a smaller scale. For example, a simple shadow can create the illusion of layers, or give an object a sense of place. Basic forms can bring a touch of realism to your work, a powerful tool when used in moderation. Texture is the physical quality of a surface. Like form, it can be three-dimensional, something you can see and touch, or it can be implied, suggesting that it would have texture if it existed in real life. In design, texture adds depth and tactility to otherwise flat images. Objects can appear smooth, rough, hard, or soft, depending on the elements at play. For beginners, textures make great background images and can add a lot of interest to your work. Look closely, and you may find texture in unexpected places, like distressed fonts and smooth, glossy icons. Just be careful not to go overboard. Too much texture in a single design can quickly become overwhelming. Balance is the equal distribution of visual weight. In other words, how much any one thing attracts the viewer's eye. Balance can be affected by many things, including color, size, number, and negative space. Mastering balance can be tricky for beginners because it does take some intuition. Luckily, the design world is full of examples that can help you understand its different iterations. Symmetrical designs are the same or similar on both sides of an axis. They feel balanced because each side is effectively the same, if not identical. Asymmetrical designs are different, but the weight is still evenly distributed. The composition is balanced because it calls attention to the right things. Many people use a strategy called the rule of thirds. This imagines your work area divided into a 3x3 grid. The focal point of the image is placed on or near one of these lines, creating visual balance with the rest of the space. We find this type of composition appealing because, according to studies, the human eye naturally follows this path when scanning a design. The fundamentals of design are all about the bigger picture. In other words, learning to appreciate the many small details that make up every composition. This insight can be applied to almost any type of project, whether you're creating your own graphics or just looking for simple ways to enhance your work. Thanks for joining us for the fundamentals of design. Check out the rest of our design topics, including color, typography, and more.
So that's a hugely helpful video. I'm going to actually go back a slide because the things that they're talking about in there, you can use on anything, like it's any kind of design. For example, if you're doing a resume, you'd be amazed at what adding a line in different places on your resume can do, because it really, separates things. It makes it easier for people to read. And one thing you need to note is that people's attention spans are getting less and less because we have so much information coming at us. So it's important to make sure that whatever you create is striking but also easy to read. All right, so just going back, these are the different elements that they were talking about. So the line can come in many different forms, but they're very, very helpful. Shapes are, they're two-dimensional, so they're flat, whereas a form is three-dimensional. So a shape looks flat, whereas a form looks three-dimensional. So space is the area between images. So you don't want to overwhelm. Like if you look at something that's super crowded with images, it makes me not want to look at it, to be perfectly honest. It just gets overwhelming. Texture definitely changes things, makes things either seem more polished. Sometimes you can give the look of things being old, hard, soft, which is kind of cool. Typography is the way words are arranged on the page, and Canva has some really good type things in there. And I may flip over to Canva for 2 seconds and show you guys that. Hold on. One of the things that I think is super cool, if you hit on the text button in Canva and you scroll down, it has some font combinations already done. So if you look here, you don't have to create from scratch, which is one of the things I totally love about Canva. So I've used a bunch of different ones always, and even like this one's cute, right? This adventure journal. So you can go in and we can change our the words that are in there without really doing much to it. So, you know, I've got 2 different fonts already made up for me. So this is a really cool thing if you kind of scroll through. It has some neon stuff that's very cool. Like this one could look cool on a brochure that you're working on. It's like, hey, my store is now open. Oops, I didn't mean to duplicate that. Okay. But different things like that are actually very cool. All right, let me go back. Sorry. All right, so we did this, we did this. White space in the design is called negative space. And basically, you need some white space to separate your design elements. It doesn't always have to be white, as we noticed in the color thing. It could be gray, it could really be any color. But when we're looking at the two things on the screen in front of you, this one's very clear. It's clarity. This is not so clear. Like that does not read clarity to me because there's a lot going on there. And what am I supposed to be looking at? I'm not really sure. So when we're looking at our white space, we are looking at what you see here, right? You see all this white space up here and down here to bring your attention to what's in the middle and to him. So white space does serve a purpose. The next big thing that we're going to look at on our flyer is a call to action. A call to action is exactly what it sounds like. It's trying to get somebody to do something. So let's talk about Simply Smoothies, right? I have this Simply Smoothie place and I'm putting together a flyer for it. And my call to action might be come in on Mondays because we have, you know, Manic Monday, half off our smoothies. So it's telling them exactly like, when can I come? Where do I have to go? What do I have to do? QR codes are great for doing a call to action because it gets people to act immediately. So, you know, maybe it's a QR code that goes straight to an order ahead for it. Order your smoothie now, it'll be ready in 5 minutes. Those different kinds of things are call to action. So here's an example of a call to action. Get 15% off and tells you what the new features are. And then there's a button here that says learn more. So what you want to give the consumer is a place to go to find the information, right? So I'm telling you, you should order this. How do I do that? Don't tell me just to order it. How do I do it? Where are you located? How do I get that? Again, here, very similar. Babbel tells you what it is, 60% off. Oh my God, it's crazy. I got to get that. How do I do that? I click the button on the bottom. It says get offer. All right. So this is a little bit more on Canva. So I'm going to play through it because it'll be helpful to you.
Lines, shapes, and text are the building blocks of almost every design. When combined together, they create infinite possibilities. In this video, we're going to explore some of the most basic elements of design and learn how to edit them in Canva. One of the most basic elements in graphic design is line. Line is used to add style, enhance comprehension, create forms, and separate space. It can be a border around other design elements or a divider between them. It can be curved, dotted, zigzagged, or straight. To add a line in Canva, click the Elements tab and then Shapes and Lines. You'll find pre-styled lines to choose from. To quickly add a line to your page, press the L key on your keyboard. Let's start by styling this line. First, select it so you can see the toggles on each end. Switch between dotted, dashed, and solid lines in the toolbar here. Next, try adjusting the weight or thickness. We can also choose an endpoint style for the start and end of the line, like this. Lastly, change the color here. Next, let's look at working with shapes in Canva. You can find all types of shapes in the Elements tab. Depending on the type of shape you choose, your editing options vary. Some shapes stay in proportion, while others allow you to change width and height. Let's choose this isosceles triangle, for example, which means it has two sides of equal length. In addition to adjusting the color and scale, we can also adjust the width and height, warping the triangle. This handy adjustment opens up a world of possibilities when it comes to combining shapes together to make new shapes. For example, by making a copy of our triangle and rotating it 180 degrees. Now we've made a parallelogram, a completely different shape altogether. Once you've created a new shape by combining them together, it helps to group them so that you can easily move them and resize them as one. Select all the objects by dragging your selection over them, then group them. Grouping also allows you to edit shape colors all at once. Hold Command or Control and click the grouped objects to select them as a set, then change the color. Let's discover how to add text. We can easily add text to our page and customize it in a few ways. The quickest way to get started is to hit the T key on your keyboard. This will add a text box to your page. Now we can start to apply some basic formatting, such as editing text size, color, styles like bold, italic, or underline, and case. You can also resize and rotate a text box just like any other element. To find pre-styled text groups, including things like text effects and font pairs, find the Text tab here. These are a real time saver when you're looking for some type inspiration. Let's add in a text group like this one. It has a headline font here and some body copy text here. All of these text boxes are grouped together. We want to ungroup them so we can easily edit them separately. We do that by clicking here, giving us more control over individual text boxes. We can easily remove text by selecting text frames and using our keyboard to delete it. We can also adjust the alignment and styles here. Now we have the beginnings of what could become the design of a poster or flyer. There's a clear heading, but what if we want to change the font of our headline? Select it and find your font list in the toolbar. There are thousands of fonts to choose from, or you can search by category, like this. This title is looking great, but there's still a couple more styling options we can experiment with. Let's try adjusting text spacing. I can increase letter spacing here, and line spacing like this. If I increase spacing too much, text can feel too sparse, and letter forms no longer connect with one another to create a fluid block of text. Perhaps the ultimate method for type styling comes from text effects. But be warned, although they're fun to play with, text effects can overwhelm designs, so use these in small doses. Let's try some effects. Text effects allow text to stand out and can create some depth and movement in designs. These basic elements of line, shape, and text will help you form any design you can think of.
So that's kind of a quick one through on Canva. Whoops. Which is very cool. I'm going to upload to a Canva guide, which will definitely serve you well. I got a lot out of it. All right. So when we're looking at this flyer, we're looking at design layout. So we're looking at how are we laying things out, and just think about like if you ever made a collage, you have to step back from it and you look at it and where does your eye go to? What do you want people to see on it? What's the most important part? So those are the things you need to think about. Sometimes you need to walk away from it and come back and look at it again. This is also a very big part of like menu design. When you go to a really well done restaurant, they'll have a menu that will bring your eye to certain products. And there are reasons that they do that, because they'll bring your eye to a certain product that might make the most money for them. So they want you to order that most often, and they purposefully lay out the menu to highlight that item. My dog's chewing on something. I'm trying to make sure it's not my shoe again. Right, layout.
Layout and
hold on. Hang on, I just want to see what's after layout. Okay. All right, so we'll just walk through layout. Then we'll talk through any questions you guys have. Oops. Okay.
layout and composition. In a way, they're the foundation of design. They give your work structure and make it easier to navigate, from the margins on the sides to the content in between. Of course, it's not just about working with text. Composition matters in other mediums too, like graphic design, web design, and much more. Without a well-composed layout, your work would basically fall apart. The key to mastering layout and composition is to think like a designer. Luckily, it's easier than it sounds. There are 5 basic principles that can help you transform your work and sharpen your eye for design. Let's start at the top and work our way down. Proximity is all about using visual space to show relationships in your content. In practice, it's pretty simple. All you have to do is make sure related items are grouped together. For example, blocks of text or elements in a graphic. Groups that are not related to each other should be separated to visually emphasize their lack of a relationship. All in all, this makes your work easier to understand at a glance, whether it's purely text or something more visual. White space is an important part of every composition. Now, this doesn't mean literal white space. It just means negative space, like the spaces between your content, between lines, and even the outer margins. There's no one way to use white space correctly, but it's good to understand its purpose. White space helps you define and separate different sections. It gives your content room to breathe. If your work ever starts to feel cluttered or uncomfortable, a little white space might be just what the doctor ordered. Alignment is something you deal with all the time, even if you don't realize it. Whenever you type an email or create a document, the text is aligned automatically. When aligning objects by yourself, for instance, images or separate text boxes, getting it right can be tricky. The most important thing is to be consistent. Let's take a look at what that means. It might help to imagine your content arranged inside of a grid. Notice how there's an invisible line centering each image to the text? Each grouping is also evenly spaced and aligned, with equal-sized margins. It's that attention to detail that makes the composition easier to navigate. Without consistent alignment, your work could start to feel disorganized. Contrast simply means that one item is different from another. In layout and composition, contrast can help you do many things. For example, catch the reader's eye, create emphasis, or call attention to something important. There are lots of strategies for creating contrast. You can use color, adjust the size, shape, or visual weight of an object, or use contrasting styles of text. Contrast is also closely tied to hierarchy, a visual technique that can help the viewer navigate your work. In other words, it shows them where to begin and where to go next, using different levels of emphasis. Establishing a hierarchy is simple. Just decide which elements you want the reader to notice first, then make them stand out. High-level or important items are usually larger, bolder, or more eye-catching in some way. Repetition is a reminder that every project should have a consistent look and feel. That means finding ways to reinforce your design by repeating or echoing certain elements. For instance, if you have a specific color palette, look for ways to carry it through. If you've chosen a special header style, use it every time. It's not just for aesthetic reasons. Being consistent can also make your work easier to read. When the viewer knows what to expect, they can relax and focus on the content. In many ways, layout and composition are the unsung heroes of design. It's easy to overlook their role, but they're part of everything you do. A nudge here, some extra white space there, and voila! With a little attention to detail, you can create beautiful, professional-looking compositions. Thanks for joining us for the basics of layout and composition. Check out the rest of our design talk.
Oops, sorry. All right, so I know a lot of stuff here, but it's really just to give you a feel for all the different things that go into creating these marketing pieces. So the visual hierarchy, this is a little bit more detail of what it means to like draw your eye to different things. So, you know, there's different ways to do it, whether it's by size, whether it's contrasting things, whether it's making things in a different direction, whether you're just doing it from top to bottom, which is a normal hierarchy. But it is a very important part of creating your piece. So finally, here's some examples of different just kind of layouts that are kind of interesting. There's a lot going on. So especially like this one on the left, you see a lot of different things happening there. In the middle, we're a little bit simpler. So just a lot of stuff to consider as you start to make your design. So the three pieces that we have today, right? We're working on the smoothie, our Simply Smoothies. We are working on making sure we create a logo with a tagline and then creating some kind of a flyer with a call to action. So 3 parts to what we're working on. Any questions, thoughts, concerns?
I got a question. Was my question answered by the way?
Oh, is this Talajan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you can do it. You know, like I said, I've never seen it. But yeah, you know, if that's what you want to go with, that's cool. Whatever floats your boat. I don't know if it would work as a real business idea, but I'd love to hear how you think it would. How's that sound? Did you hear what I had to say about it being only like what happens if I only want one?
Wait, no, I was talking about the one with the CTA, the 3 left.
Oh. Okay. Yes and no. That's we're going to get to a point where we're doing something social media. And that's a really good social media one, not necessarily one for a flyer, because, you know, you don't have as much control over when the flyer goes up or down. But for an Instagram post, it's something you see often, like, hey, you know, come and grab it. There's only, you know, 10 pizzas left or whatever. So I think that's great for social media. But it may not be as controllable on a flyer. Yeah, the target market thing, I kind of screwed up that paper. So yeah, it's the same as your demographics. It's like, who do you think would buy this? So, you know, if you're looking at smoothies and you're selling them near the beach, who's going to buy a smoothie if they're out at the beach? Is it more going to be, you know, kids? It's going to be young adults. Or if you have smoothies in the middle of Brooklyn, who's your target audience there? Maybe you're down near you know, part of that plays on location. So if you're down near like Barclays downtown, your target market is probably a little bit different than if you're over in like Dumbo, let's say. So try to be like a little bit specific on your target. Other questions? Is this a lot? I think it sounds like more than it is. I strongly thank you. I strongly suggest using all the tools in Canva. And I've got to upload that thing to the classroom. So I'm going to stop sharing. I have nothing else for you guys. So if you want to go off and work on this on your own, you can. And I will put that stuff up in the classroom. If you want to stay on in case you have any questions, I'm happy to do that too. Whichever floats your boat. So the net on that is you guys are free to go if you want to go. Like, yo, I'm out of here. I get that. If you want to hang for a few and ask some questions, that's fine too. All right, I gotta find this document. I think I stopped sharing. Yeah, I did. Okay. It is Canva. Oh, no.
Abi bakayım. İpince olmuyor
All
mu?
right.
Ha bir tek olsa mı yatıyor? Ha? Bir tek olsa. Bak oğlum.
I'm gonna put this in here as is anyone still here? A couple of people here. I'm gonna put this in for you guys. I'm actually gonna just edit this.
I have a question, Miss.
Yeah.
Do you have a flyer example?
A Simply Smoothie one?
Yeah.
Yeah, hang on one sec. I just uploaded that Canva basics.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see what my marketing class is doing. How's that? You
Yeah,
can see
sure.
their stuff. Let's see. I'm gonna try to find us a decent one. All right, I'm gonna share my screen again and you can walk through them with me. I haven't graded them yet. All right, let's see. All right, so this one, buy one, get one free. This has his logo. There's no real call to action on here. You just see something. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, not crazy about that. Let's see what else we got. So there's a new arrival, sweet watermelon, Sunday fun day, save day, only $10. So interestingly, like this is her logo and this is her tagline, the tasty and healthy. Kind of interesting. Let's see what else we got. Hold on. Daniela. So Simply Smoothies, Orange Wake Up. So she has a promo code on her with an expiration date, which is good. Again, like these could use a real call to action of like, how do I order? How do I get one of these? So those might be helpful. Ali, I think I saw his. Oh, he's the avocado. He's funny. I can't, I like, if you look at this, you see how this text is dark on here? It's hard to read. I can't make out what that says. I'm sure I can blow it up to make it better. He's got a 25% discount. Offer expires May 31st. You know, definitely there'll be like a little bit of feedback on that. I like the picture. Picture is very appetizing and that looks nice. Roger isn't done. Nobody's done. Raleigh, let's see what he did. All right, follow us on Instagram for 30% off. So there's the Instagram downstairs, down at the bottom. So do I just get the 30% off one time or another? So he's got an order now button on the bottom, which is kind of cool, but it's a paper, so I don't know how to order. So that's where our, is it helping, giving you some idea?
Yes.
Okay. All right, this one, there's a lot happening, a lot of flavors. I'm not sure what I'm looking, what to look at, but
Wait.
holy crap, they're only $5.99, so they're cheap.
We don't have to put flavors, right?
Now, I had some people who wanted to put flavors. So like some people were like, can I put other stuff besides smoothies? So you don't have to put flavors, but if you know, decide you want to, let me see what this one is. Buy 2 medium or 1 large smoothie and get 1 medium smoothie for free. Okay. Yeah, you know.
I
Gives
think
you- yeah, good. See, now you're gonna make me grade things.
I had a question. Are we allowed to use like pictures from generated by AI?
Abso-freaking-lutely. Yes. Yeah, that's, you know, a big thing for me is I really want you guys to learn to use AI. Like all my business kids, I tell them they will be, you know, way behind if they don't. So whatever you generate is awesome, and then you can show me how to do it. Other questions? Oh, there's 7 new messages. Yeah, those are all goodbye. For the first part, we're doing a logo. No, oh, he left, right? Hold on. Is this person still here? Oh, he left. Yeah, the logo is supposed to be for Simply Smoothies, unless someone has an awesome company that they've invented. Oh, no worries. I hope the trip was great. Shazad. And everything is in there, all the material. Did you go to, were you at American Dream? Was it cool? I'm thinking about doing a class trip there, like for marketing. We're trying to find a reason. Did you do just the park, or did like, do you shop too? How does that work? Yeah, that's cool. They have a water park too, right? Yeah, interesting. I'm not on board for the water park, but yeah, so everything you need should be in the Google Classroom. It's pretty self-explanatory. All the slides I used. Yeah, I definitely the advertising ideas. So all the stuff that the slides I used today to go through are in there. So everything you need to be able to do this stuff should be there. So any other questions? Yeah, no worries. You too. Have a great night.